If you're watching this channel, you're probably the type to financially better yourself. You've probably heard the message of if you want to become a high-value man, you need to make as much money as possible. However, today I'm here to break some bad news, and that is going to be the truth about making as much money as possible, and more importantly, why making money will not solve all your problems. Finally, we'll be having a look at a potential solution to all of this by reframing the discussion entirely. So let's jump right into it. What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to my channel, and on this channel we talk about how you can live better through economics. Before we talk about the sad truth about the common advice to make as much money as possible, we need to talk a bit about the history of money itself. Before money existed in any of its modern forms, people used to trade by barter. You would trade some milk for some eggs, you would trade a chicken for a cow. The problem with this was it was so difficult to find two people who wanted the corresponding thing from the other person. Now, this whole concept that I just talked about is called the double coincidence of wants. Money solves this by creating an intermediary store of value that both parties would accept in exchange for consideration. Keep this in mind because this is a key part of the reason why making more money is not going to solve all your problems. So in order to break this problem down, we are going to split this into the holy trifecta, which is how money can address wealth, health, and relationships. First of all, wealth needs no elaboration. Having money will definitely increase or solve your wealth problem. If you're destitute, focusing on this area will definitely improve your standard of living. To this end, we do also need to note the law of diminishing marginal utility, which states that every additional unit of something brings you less happiness than the one before it. So while this extra money might mean a lot if you start off being broke, it tends to mean less and less the more you make and the more you have. Now, you might think that this is out of touch, but I have lived through both of these scenarios and have come to this conclusion. In another sense, the opportunity cost of making each additional dollar in the form of time, effort, becomes less and less worth it from the utility point of view. So that is what we can measure in terms of wealth. Let's now move on to health. This would include physical and mental health. And while this can indeed be improved by money if you're starting from a low base, again, the law of diminishing marginal utility applies here. For example, you could get a gym membership. You could go for more social events if you could afford it. The list goes on and on. But after a certain threshold, you may find yourself wondering whether the additional juice is worth the squeeze. When I was in London, I made friends with this guy who was on the buy side, one of the world's biggest hedge funds. Needless to say, they make a ton of money on a daily basis. In this case, he moved from Singapore to London to pursue this lucrative career. Things seem to be working out for him. However, when I was making the decision whether or not to return home, I was making moderately good money by then. Could there be more to strive for in the West, such as in London or even a tier 1 city in the US? Probably. But the marginal cost of staying in the West as an Asian young man for a prolonged period in terms of mental health, and let's not forget the dismal food situation, when all taxes and costs were taken into consideration, it wasn't as worth the squeeze as I had originally thought compared to my reservation option. So rather than do that, I decided to return home to regroup and perhaps consider further international assignments down the line. Finally, in terms of relationships, the story is highly similar. Having a significant amount of income, as I've learned, does not actually fix this aspect. It can make things easier, such as quickly establishing yourself as a person of value if that wealth came from your own work and other correlates, especially when you are networking with other high-level individuals. However, recall the concept from the beginning of the video. In simple terms, money is a tool to convince people to give you something they otherwise would not have wanted to. And this is also the reason why you should never lead with your wallet. This is no way to live, guys. Not only does it attract the worst kinds of people, it ignores the fact that people's instinctive reaction to you cannot be negotiated, and some things just are. This is particularly true for people who go from broke to six figures in a very short time, but that is a topic for another video. So in summary, should you focus all your time on making as much money as possible? Well, if you are starting from a low base, definitely do that. Definitely focus on getting your money up. But past a certain point, you may want to reconsider whether or not focusing all of your attention on this one thing is actually going to solve all your problems. In many cases, it is not. What do you think? Does this fit with your experiences, or do you have more to add? Do leave your comments down below. All in all, hopefully this has given you an idea of why money may not solve all of your problems and why you might want to reconsider somewhere down your financial improvement journey. Now, if you're thinking about maximizing the use of your funds to optimize for things like freedom as well as travel, then you might be interested in this video over here as well. With all that being said, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.